The Jewish Channel's Week in Review. Women praying at the Western Wall, and for the first time in decades, it's not police they're worried about. The Jewish stars of the Great White Way, what these Israeli kids are teaching Americans about science, and more of the Jewish news that's changing your world right now in this episode of the Week in Review. Hello, and welcome to the Jewish Channel's Week in Review. I'm Stephen I. Weiss. For the first time in at least 2 decades, women have prayed as a group at the Western Wall openly and in full compliance with Israeli law without fear of arrest or any other legal consequences. An estimated several hundred women gathered to create a minyan or prayer quorum to hold services at the holy site on Friday morning, many donning prayer shawls and tefillin. The service was in stark contrast to the monthly prayer services held by the group Women of the Wall in recent months and years, which had often resulted in arrests, particularly of the group's leader, Anat Hoffman. Hoffman has been arrested at least a half-dozen times over the years for wearing a prayer shawl or carrying a Torah scroll openly at the Western Wall or for singing prayers aloud with other women. The most notorious arrest came in October of 2012 when Hoffman said she was strip-searched, dragged on the floor, bruised, and placed in a cell with violent criminals by Israeli police. Hoffman had been arrested that time for saying aloud the iconic Jewish prayer of the Shema. That arrest brought even more attention to the issue of women's inclusion at the Western Wall, taking place in front of hundreds of attendees of the Centennial Conference of the Zionist women's organization Hadassah. Arrests in recent months have sometimes included those of American citizens, such as Rabbi Robin Fryer Bodzin, who holds the pulpit of the Israel Center of Judaism in Queens, New York, and appeared on the Jewish Channel show The Salon shortly thereafter to speak about her experience.
Were you wearing a prayer
My
shawl?
talit was actually, I usually wear it just over my whole body, but I was wearing it like a scarf so as not to cause attention to me. The talit that I wear every morning, it's white, it's gray, it's subdued. It's not bright and colorful. It doesn't call attention to me. And I was also wearing a hat on my head because it was cold, so I wasn't even wearing a kippah that was obvious for the whole world to see. You know, I didn't want to call attention. I knew that in the past, Women of the Wall had situations where men would throw chairs over or dirty diapers over, and I didn't want that to happen to me. I wanted to go and daven, and then go to my slew of meetings that I had planned that day, which didn't happen.
Because
I spent the morning in the police station with 10 other women who were detained.
On what grounds?
We were detained for wearing a talit, which may violate public safety.
Friday's prayer service at the Western Wall was the first in decades at which Israeli police were charged with protecting a women's prayer service at the holy site rather than arresting the participants as a result of a Jerusalem District Court judge's ruling that said current Israeli law does not restrict women's prayer services there. And by all appearances, the Women of the Wall did need that police protection Friday. A great many ultra-Orthodox girls and women opposed to the more liberal women's prayer services crowded into the women's section of the Western Wall Plaza to block access to Women of the Wall. When the Women of the Wall were thus forced to hold their prayer services somewhat further from the wall in the Western Wall Plaza, quoting the New York Times, hundreds of police officers locked arms in cordons to hold back throngs of black-hatted ultra-Orthodox men who whistled, catcalled, and threw water, candy, and a few plastic chairs. This was not the first time Women of the Wall had plastic chairs hurled at them by ultra-Orthodox men. At a prayer service in March 2010, the Women of the Wall were similarly targeted by chairs thrown over the divider between men and women at the holy site. The Jerusalem Post described Friday's scene in the words of Rabbi Susan Silverman, a resident of Israel who holds American citizenship and is the sister of comedian Sarah Silverman. She said that ultra-Orthodox men spit globs of spit on her 3 daughters, that the ultra-Orthodox threw coffee at the Women of the Wall activists, and that a little girl next to her was hit in the head with something hard. At least 5 arrests of those attacking Women of the Wall were made on Friday. The idea to send ultra-Orthodox students to block and protest Women of the Wall was reportedly hatched by ultra-Orthodox members of Knesset and received the explicit approval of a number of ultra-Orthodox rabbis. One of those ultra-Orthodox members of Knesset, Rabbi Yisrael Eichler of the United Torah Judaism Party, summarized some ultra-Orthodox sentiment when he told the New York Times that if the state of Israel fights the ultra-Orthodox, it may win, but it will be erased from the face of the earth, continuing, There were thousands of seminary girls there today. Each one of them will have 10 children. That is our victory. Meantime, in an update to last week's top story about the potential for revived foreign conflicts for Israel, Syria's government had fighting words for Israel on Sunday. The comment came roughly a week after Israel had reportedly launched 2 airstrikes against targets in Syria, which unnamed Israeli and American officials reportedly claimed were weapon shipments headed from Iran and meant for Hezbollah. President Bashar Assad's information minister, Omran al-Zubi, responded to a question about those airstrikes, said, "The Golan is Syrian Arab territory and will remain so even if the Israeli army is stationed there. We have the right to go in and out of it whenever we want and however we please." Israel won control of the Golan Heights from Syria during 1967's Six-Day War. Moving on to the kind of drama you can laugh and sing about. Stars of the stage were recently nominated in the Drama Desk Awards. Meredith Gansman reports on some of those who are among the stars of David.
The 2012-2013 Theater Awards season is officially over, but don't fret, the Theater Awards season has begun. There are the Lucille Lortel Awards, the Obies, Theater World, Drama Desk, and yes, the Tony Awards, all honoring the best of what's on stage in New York City. I'll be bringing you all the action from the Drama Desk Awards, which are bestowed by members of the press, the writers, and editors who cover the theater world. Jewish television and theater actress Linda Lavin presented the nominations at the Broadway Cabaret Club 54 Below.
The recognition is everything. It means so much that people, the nominators, have gone to the theater, covered so much, hundreds of shows they've seen, and come up with 6 nominees in each category.
And then the nominees met the press.
It's fantastic. My mother is so excited.
Oh my gosh, you know, it's electric.
It's a dream come true.
And it certainly is a dream come true for Outstanding Music nominee Benj Pasek. You met Pasek on TJC in December after the premiere of his first Broadway show, A Christmas Story, which garnered 6 Drama Desk nominations.
Justin and I went to college for musical theater, so we studied this, and we would have to come in and know the list of who got nominated for a Drama Desk Award, in school the next day. So to be on that list with these people, and to we just saw Richard Greenberg and Judith Light in the line behind us, that's crazy to us, and it's just amazing to be here.
The Drama Desk Awards are the only major New York theater honor in which Broadway, off-Broadway, and off-Broadway compete against each other in the same categories, making a nomination that much more of an honor.
I think it's a beautiful thing because it reminds us that good work is good work.
For the cast of the off-Broadway hit Old Jews Telling Jokes, the nomination was especially sweet.
It's a machaya, it's a blessing, it really is.
Outstanding Featured Actress in a Play nominee Judith Light stars in The Assembled Parties, a new Broadway play about a Jewish family on the Upper West Side.
Well, I think for all of us being Jewish, I think there is a cell-level experience that we all have had, that just you walk into it, and when you start reading it, you know that it belongs to you.
Lin-Manuel Miranda, nominated for Outstanding Lyrics for Bring It On, the musical, has very Jewish theatrical roots.
I was the only tenor in the Jewish a cappella group at Wesleyan University, the Mazel Tones. So, I still have my Hine Baha Shalom melody solo still memorized.
And even though you won't see Barbra Streisand on the New York boards this season, her presence is still alive and well at the Drama Desk Awards. The spirit of Streisand was brought to the stage this season by widely known television actor and Outstanding Solo Performance nominee Michael Urie in the off-Broadway play Buyer and Seller.
I was a fan, of course, but not like a super fan. I didn't know everything. So when I started the show, I began to learn things. And I feel like I got to know her most watching her in movies.
To meet more of the Drama Desk Awards nominees, tune in to the full broadcast version of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Meredith. Finally, Israeli student achievers participated in a science fair recently, and this one was on public display for millions to see right in New York's Union Square. Meredith Gansman also has that story.
Even though we're all nose deep in our own tech, it's often hard to get kids interested in the sciences. Not so here at Street Labs, the ultimate science fair from Israel's SciTech schools. Street Labs made its debut last week in Union Square. Israel is known for developing science and technology, but bringing Israel's sci-tech school students to showcase their inventions was an experimental idea, according to the Israeli consulate's consul for media affairs.
What would manifest Israel's creativity and innovation better than bringing those high school students with their inventions to the heart of New York City?
Even at sci-tech schools, which focus on the STEM curriculum, that's science, technology, engineering, and math, teacher Gil Shahar says it's still hard to get kids interested in science. One way, though, is to teach the science behind popular technology.
It's really hard to get the iPhone out of their hands and stuff like this, but this is what makes the school, the sci-tech school in Israel, I don't know if unique, but really good. We take the physics that behind the stuff and the science that behind stuff that they know and they like, and we teach this to them. And we make them be curious about the stuff.
Even though the students' projects on display were developed in Israel, they address global needs, such as protecting disability rights that will prevent people from illegally parking in handicapped parking spots, and an Android application allowing users to scan foods to identify specific allergens.
I hope that it will reduce the exposure to allergen and can save life in if I'm allergic to milk, for example, and I didn't know there is milk in some product, it can save my life if I use this application.
To see more from Street Labs, tune into the full broadcast version of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Meredith. That's all for this week from all of us here at the Jewish Channel. Be well. The Jewish Channel is available on cable. Time Warner Cable Channel 528, IO Optimum Channel 505, RCN Channel 268, Bright House Channel 330, Verizon Fios Channel 900, Cox Cable Channel 1, Frontier Communications, and on Comcast in the on-demand menu under Premium Channels. For more information, visit tjctv.com.